Carlisle. Ms. Berner, if you would call roll, please.
Yeah.
Yep. Mayor Lowry,
Here.
Councilman Grimm,
I'm here.
Councilman Rodwald,
Here.
Councilwoman Nowakowski,
Here.
Councilman Cobb,
Here.
Councilwoman Eggleston,
Here.
Vice Mayor Cook.
Here.
7 members present.
Good, thank you very much. And moving on to, let's see here, hang on, my screen closed.
Answer it.
Hang on, I think I'm looking at the wrong, hang on. Oh, okay, I'm sorry. Invocation tonight will be done by Councilman Cobb.
Dear Heavenly Father, give us the guide to do what's best for the citizens of this community. Watch over our men and women of the military. Watch over our first responders, our deputies, our firefighters, EMT, and paramedics. In Jesus' name we pray, amen.
Amen. Thank you, Mr. Cobb. And moving on to the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, thank you, Mr. Grimm. And moving on, we'll need action on the work session minutes for March 1st, 2021.
Move approval on the work session minutes. Second.
Motion by Ms. Nowakowski, second by Ms. Eggleston. Any discussion or questions or comments, council? All right, when you're ready, Ms. Berner, the vote, please.
Vice Mayor Cook,
Yes.
Mayor Lowry,
Yes.
Councilman Grimm,
Yes.
Councilman Rodwald,
Yes.
Councilwoman Nowakowski,
Yes.
Councilman Cobb,
Yes.
Councilwoman Eggleston.
Yes.
Minutes accepted 7-0.
Thank you very much. And then we will also need a motion to accept the minutes for the regular scheduled council meeting on March 1st, 2021.
So moved.
Second.
First, Ms. Eggleston, second by Mr. Grimm. And any discussion, questions, or comments on these minutes, council? All right, when you're ready, Ms. Berner.
Councilman Rodwald,
Yes.
Councilwoman Nowakowski,
Yes.
Councilman Cobb,
Yes.
Councilwoman Eggleston,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Cook,
Yes.
Mayor Lowry.
Yes.
Minutes accepted 7-0.
All right, thank you very much. And moving on to communications, overflow if needed from the work session for Mr. Schlemmenberger. I think he's gone for the evening, and I think we got all we needed from him. So we will move on to the city manager's report. Mr. Bridge, good evening, sir.
Good evening. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of council, members of the public. Let me just give me a minute to get my share screen going here. You guys are missing what I want to do. Grab that. All right. All the city manager report up there. Can everyone see this?
Sir.
Awesome.
Yes.
Thank you. So to begin the police report, we're going to do things a little differently. Instead of starting off with the finance, we're actually going to start off with our police report and our fire and EMS report. And again, my administrators, after you're done with your monthly report, you are more welcome to log off and enjoy your evening. But without further ado, we'll start with our police report presented by Sergeant Neiman, our police administrator.
Hello, everyone.
Good evening, sir.
To start off, so we're going to be reviewing the month of February 2021 stats. The deputies actually responded to 166 calls for service. That was actually up like 65% from January. The overall totals for the month of February, the miles patrolled was 5,542. Calls taken again was 166. Out of those, the 31 reports were completed with 40 assists and 11 criminal arrests. They had 5 felony arrests, 7 misdemeanor arrests with 3 warrants. Up this month was traffic stops. They did 148 traffic stops for the month. But out of the 148 traffic stops, they gave 97 warnings, issued 56 actual citations. Non-moving citations was 2. They conducted 359 business checks and 57 citizens contacts. Just to help everyone out a little bit more, I actually broke it down per deputy on the amount of calls that they are actually taking. And I'm going to keep on doing this month to month so that everyone's able to see, what our deputies are responding to. The easiest way for me to do it, and for when the public wants to take a look at this, is I start from top and go to bottom with the deputies. And so like your first 2 deputies would be Major Sack and Moody. That would be first shift deputies, followed by McDuffie and Garmin, which would be second shift deputies. And then Biceline is your third shift deputy. So that just kind of helps it out a little bit. I seen in the prior note meetings it wanted an outline of what somebody asked for, an outline of actually what the deputies were working. And so I put it in my notes this month that I did a breakdown so that everybody knows the where the deputies are actually assigned and actually, what hours they're assigned to, and then what their days off are. So anybody that was wanting to take a look at that could. The other thing that I wanted to mention is that within the next couple of weeks, but when I wrote this, it was beginning of the month, so pretty much all the deputies actually have it right now. They've been all issued brand new mobile vision body cameras. Them cameras cost roughly about $900 a camera, and the sheriff's department outfitted all the New Carlisle deputies with brand new body cameras. So it's a little upgrade. I can tell you from the one that I personally had before to this one, it's a little upgrade, a wider view, still not night vision, but it does pick up a little bit better at night than the ones that we had prior to this. So other than that, that's about all I have right now.
All right, thank you. Council, does anybody have any questions or comments?
I do.
Okay, good, Mr. Grimm.
Moving citations, those are mostly what, speed?
Yeah, I would, on your moving citations, that could be speed, it could be driving under suspension, where the car was actually stopped for a moving citation.
What would be an example of a non-moving citation?
Non-moving citation could be a seatbelt. When you stop the car for a moving citation, and then you decide to give a warning, maybe for the moving citation, but actually issuing for like maybe a seatbelt.
All right.
Thank you, Mr. Grimm. Anyone else? I just had a couple. As far as the schedule goes, and I'll ask this to you, Sergeant Lehman, and to Mr. Bridge, if we had something, because obviously we don't want to put the schedule out there for anyone, we don't kind of keep that on quiet. But if I wanted to ask a question about this, what would you prefer, Mr. Bridge? Would you prefer me to, if someone had a question about how the schedule works, to call you directly, or, to discuss it? How would you prefer that?
The same way you interact with other administrators, shoot an email and just copy me in on it.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. And then the dash cams, you were talking about cameras. Did we, and I don't have the budget funding, didn't council talk about possibly buying at least one dash cam, I think last year? Does anybody recall that? I thought we'd looked into it. Council, does anybody remember that?
At the CIP, but I don't think we actually put anything in there for it.
Okay. I couldn't remember. So, all right. Thank you. That's all I had. Thank you, Sergeant Lehman.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Back to you, Mr. Bridge.
All right. Thank you, Sergeant Lehman, for your fantastic report. We appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
You're welcome to log off and enjoy your evening, and thank you for taking time out of your busy day away from your family to join us. Thank you.
Hey, thank you.
Yeah, no problem. And moving on to the city manager report. Let me get my share screen going, and forgive me, sometimes it jags a little bit, which is why you saw the screen going back and forth. I'm trying my best here. Let's see what we did with my 315 folder. And then we'll move on to the city manager report with our fire chief, Chief Trustee.
Good evening, Mayor, Council, citizens. For the month of February, the New Carlisle Fire Division responded to 88 EMS calls in the city, 17 in Elizabeth Township. The division responded to 8 fire-related calls in the city and 1 in Elizabeth Township. We had 3 EMS calls answered by mutual aid.
Matter of Township, stand by for a possible.
Sorry, excuse me. We answered 3 mutual aid calls for Pike Township, and we answered 2 mutual aid calls for Bethel Clark. We purchased 2 4-gas meters, 1 for engine 52 and 1 for truck 52 for the crews to use. This allows us to look for gas leaks, plus also to do CO checks for if someone has a CO detector that goes off. This allows both units to have 1 on each. We also, some really good news, the department applied for a state fire marshal safety grant for a gear extractor washer for turnout gear. Our turnout gear has to be washed under NFPA standards and codes. We're happy to report that the city was fully awarded $10,000 with no matching funds to purchase that gear washer for the department. This allows us to wash our own gear. What we've been having to do is go to Bethel Clark Station. Chief King was gracious enough to let us do our gear there, but this will allow us to do it in-house now for our crews. Also, the new power equipment tools. We will be doing a demonstration auto extrication this Wednesday night at the Old Madison School to have the crews go over the new equipment and put them in service. And it's open to any of the council or anyone that'd like to come out and watch that. And Easter Sunday will be at one of the churches here in the city, one right across from the library. They've invited us to come out with the crews and with the trucks for their Easter egg hunt, just for the crews to be there so the kids could see the trucks and that type of thing. Other than that, nothing else. Any questions?
Thank you, Chief. Council, any questions or comments? I can't see anybody, so I don't know if anybody has their hands up. Go ahead and speak. All right, Dan, go ahead, Rodwell. Your mic's muted.
Sorry about that. This is more personal than council related, but I want to thank Chief Trustee for letting the New Carlisle Baseball Softball Association use the fire station over the last month for our signups. It was greatly appreciated. I think it also allowed a lot of our citizens who have never been to the fire station to actually get inside. Some of the kids were excited. I know a couple of the volunteers took them to see the engines in the back, and so I just want to extend my gratitude to Chief and everyone at the firehouse for letting NCBSA use the firehouse for signups. So,
Anytime, sir.
Thank you.
Glad to have you.
Thank you, Mr. Rodwell. For the chief. All right, thank you, Chief, for the report. We appreciate it, sir. And back to you, Mr. Bridge.
Thank you, Fire Chief. Moving on to our city manager report, our finance report with Ms. Harris. Give me a second to get the screen sharing again. All right, Ms. Harris, you're ready to go.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Bridge, Mayor, Council, citizens. This is going to be your February finance report. And I got the help of Mr. Bridge with his pointer. We, again, will focus on your estimated revenues that he has highlighted. That number should stay unless we adjust our budget at $5,981,374, what we're anticipating as revenue this year. Going down into the months received, we have, for the month of February, received $726,803.87 for a total year-to-date revenue of $1,286,325.18. And going up to the top right, we'll talk about our current approved budget of $7,234,070 is our anticipated and approved spendings not to exceed. For the month of February, we did spend $806,065.74 for a total year-to-date of $1,286,366.59. So if you compare our revenue to date and our expenses to date, we're very, very close with the exact amount, what we received and what we sent. Now, the next part is your statement of cash, and that again is kind of like your checking account. Our beginning balance at the beginning of the year we had is $4,760,036.34. And to date, at their ending balance, all the way down, okay, net, there we go, thank you. Ending balance is $4,310,405.13. The bottom shows all your bank reconciliations. Everything is reconciled, and they're there for your review and approval. And then I go into the rest of the reports that I furnish you each month. I did forget to send you the check by check report. It's usually last. So Mr. Bridge can discuss whether we add it to next month or how I'm going to do that. I did miss that, and I apologize. Otherwise, if there's any questions I can entertain, I'd be glad to.
All right, thank you, Ms. Harris. Council, any questions, comments, feedback for Ms. Harris? Mr. Vice Mayor, sir.
Ms. Harris, can you give us an idea of how our revenue is lining up compared with 2020?
I can get that information to you. I don't have access to it on my computer right now to show that amount, but I'll get that information back to Mr. Bridge to share tomorrow morning. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. Anyone else for Ms. Harris? All right, thank you, Ms. Harris, for a great report as usual. We appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Harris, for that great finance report. And council, how would you like to move forward with the check report? Is that something you just want me to throw under the city manager report for next month? Is that something you want to break rules of council and amend the agenda packet for this week?
I'm fine with next month.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I'm fine if you want to just put it on next month, save time and energy.
Yeah, to be actually the first one in April, so it'll only be a couple weeks away.
Yeah.
Okay, sounds good. Well, thank you. And we'll move on here. Just give me a second to share the screen again. And again, I'm sorry, my computer's not being really responsive. I got a little lag here. Bear with me. It does this on occasion. And we will move on. Let me get through all this great financial information here. I don't want to go too fast, because then I'll end up in, Florida by the time I'm done scrolling.
Sweet.
Oh, well, I know they probably got better weather than us right now. I think someone here would know that. Ms. Harris, how's the weather in Florida?
Let me unmute. It's beautiful from what I heard this morning. My mom gives me daily and time check.
Sorry.
I'll let you know, Randy. I'll be heading there soon myself.
Oh, well, that's awesome. I'm happy for you guys. That'd be fun.
I'm not coming back either.
It's gonna be
Ever.
Ever.
So we're ready to move on here with the city manager report. We'll have Mr. Kiko, our service director. Mr. Kiko, you're on. Thank you for joining us tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Bridge. Good evening, Mayor, members of council. In your report, there's a lot of similar items from last month, so I'll just give you a couple updates that I've added for this month. Under Public Works Department, last two bullet points of 2020-21 winter salt usage, that has went up to 150 tons. And we'll sit at that if we don't get any other weather. And then we will probably order some more salt, even though winter may be done. So that way we get it at a cheaper price before next season, because we are on a 2-year deal this year. Next bullet point is Tecumseh Trail crossing signs. We did get the batteries replaced, and then we had to get a company to come out and do some work on those. But the crossing signals there at the bike path are back up and operational. Underwater Department, second bullet point, the plans have been submitted to the EPA. They are reviewing our Adams Street Tower demo for verification and making sure everything is good to go. And the last two items for resurfacing, second bullet point for resurfacing, we have that later in the agenda under informational items, I believe. Yes. And the Madison Street School demo, we are currently working on the specs and getting the bid scope of work out through Choice One Engineering for about the end of the month, beginning of April, for the Clark County Community Development to get ready to put out for bid. And then you'll see our crews out working in the back. We'll be hauling away a lot of our spoil piles, getting that cleaned up. We're hoping that we just have some fill dirt left back there that possibly we may get a credit on a contract for if there's some good clean fill that they can utilize without having to haul that material in. And then there's just under Madison Street School later on, I have an update with Mr. Bridge, but that is all I have of my current report. I can entertain any questions you have for any of my departments.
Council, any questions or comments from Mr. Kitco?
And Mr. Mayor, now's a good time that we attach the street priority list to Mr. Kitko's discussion. So there was a blurb under the city manager report, but if council wants to discuss any of the attachments regarding the street priority list or the subsequent estimated costs that Mr. Kitko has supplied, now would be the time to do it, opposed to later on in the city manager report.
Okay,
You guys go ahead and stop share so we can see everyone.
great, thank you. All right, I think Mr. Vice Mayor had your hand up.
Yeah, most of those streets, I would assume when you say resurface, are we going to do chip and seal on those, or are those a complete redo with blacktop?
Yeah, there will be no chip and seal on any of the streets this year. That will be a complete, about a 7-foot curb cut with a mill and then a scratch course and a surface course. So it'd be all done with asphalt.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. Mr. Rodwell.
Howie, when do we think the old substation, police station will be torn down? Do we have a date on that?
I would go with Mr. Bridge probably on that one for the substation.
Okay.
Yeah, we have to have the police fully move out of there. Then we have to go our records retention. So it's
Okay.
on track for late spring, summer.
Okay.
Let's see, anyone else from Mr. Kitco? Okay, Mr. Kitco, are you going over the streets under the resurfacing list?
So I can do that now since there's, no more questions, or I may drum up questions from council. Yeah, so in the list, you can see you got the street priority list, and some of the ones that I have designated for this year, South Scott Street between Madison and Linden, Deerfield, Henry, Villa, Falcon, and then Sunset Drive, Cambridge Court. I've been working on a couple different estimates because after hopefully next week's council meeting and approval, we'll have raised our resurfacing amount from about 70,000 up to about 110. So I'm kind of putting a couple streets, since we have 110,000 to use this year for resurfacing. Obviously, we can't do all 6 streets. You've probably reviewed the estimates. In total, those estimates come up to about 215,000 to resurface. Now, we do have a little bit of contingency in there. You never know when you run into things. We do have some full depth repair. So if they're running a mill and all of a sudden a tire sinks, they'll back up, they'll plow the mill deeper and take that soft spot out. There is money built in for that, minimal. But so far, I think I've only had, let's say out of 10 streets, I've had 2 that I've had to do a little bit of that. And then we'll get some of that money back and we move for next year. I've put a couple scenarios together. South Scott is my primary street this year to get, they have no curb and gutter, but this will get them a resurface to get, it's probably my worst roller coaster, should I say, for a street. They have terrible water drainage. It's horrible. So they're my primary street to get done this year. And then to add in on one scenario, Deerfield and Falcon would make it 111,000. That $1,000, I think I would be able to make up in contingency savings or maybe full depth repair savings. Another scenario would be South Scott and Villa with Terra Court. So when you see the street Villa or Henry, they have 2 cul-de-sacs that tie off of those. We would not go down the street and not do the cul-de-sac. So add the price of the street plus the cul-de-sac, and that's really your total cost to do that street. So Scott Street, South Scott and Villa with Terra would be 96,000. And then South Scott with Henry with Richard would be 106,935. That's the 3 scenarios I got so far. Still got a little more work because the only thing I have left in the Edgebrook area that has not been done is Sunset and Cambridge. and then that whole section is done for resurfacing. And then we're up to Deerfield and Falcon, and then now we're on the other side of Zimmerman and heading into Villa Henry, which would be the next ones. And then, so those are kind of the scenarios that I got kind of leading, the score right now. So if anybody has any questions on those, I can entertain if you have a particular thing you'd like to discuss about what street, why what street, cost, location, maybe how bids come in on what we're looking at.
All right, Council, any questions for Mr. Kitco on streets? Mr. Roadwall?
Well, I like the idea of doing Cambridge Court, Howie, and just getting the whole back section there done, and just moving section by section over. You are right. South Scott Street is a roller coaster. I think my kids get sick every time we go up and down that street. But I do like your idea of getting Cambridge Court and stuff. That way, the whole Langdale Edgebrook area over here is completely done. Falcon and Deerfield are also in dire need of a resurfacing as well. But that's just my 2 cents.
Sure.
Thank you, Mr. Roadwall. Any other questions for Mr. Kitco? I had just a couple, Mr. Kitco. When we do, like in the typical streets we've done, when you mill them, how far do they mill them down?
Basically, we've been averaging about an inch at the curb to 0 about 7 feet away from the curb. The center of the street does not get milled. And the reason that is most of the city streets do not have a crown for drainage to get it into the gutter. So we don't mill that. But that's the typical mill depth for that.
Now, do you get a better product if you mill the whole thing?
Not necessarily. If we had to mill more, just cost would go up, but they'd be milling our crown out. We're trying to raise that up. So if we mill the 2 7-foot sides, they come in with what they call a 3/4 inch, usually scratch cores, and they only scratch that center and then about to 3 feet away from the curb. And then the surface goes from curb to curb all the way over the whole thing.
Okay. I just didn't know if you milled it more, it would prevent you from getting cracks in the surface down the road.
Milling does not stop any cracks. If there's a crack in the base, it will eventually show in the surface. There is cloth that can help with that. It just gets to be next time we mill. I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with New Carlisle Pike when they put that fabric layer in there. Next, thing you know, it started tearing up, and then next time you mill, it can be a mess.
Huh. Interesting. Okay. And then one more on the street, on the catch basins on Main. Realistically, can you give me an idea of when you might think you'll get to them?
Hopefully, we're talking mid-spring. I'm working with the contractor already on a few of them, and then it's timing with my guys to try to do the 1 or 2 that are more reasonable for us to get out in the roadway and do some of that work.
Okay.
We'll get them done this year. That hopefully, COVID really stopped us last year. We should be able to we should definitely be able to get some of that work done this year.
Okay. And then one more since we hit Main Street. What year is Main scheduled to be done with the state?
Currently, 2023 summer of calendar 2023.
Okay.
And just to update council, I'm working with ODOT right now because they want us, because these are federal dollars that the state uses, and then we give them the 20% match. And they want every curb ramp that touches 235 to be updated to ADA standards. So obviously we know 2 intersections are up to ADA standards now because of the new traffic signals, even though some were done in 2011, 09 and 07 for the street lighting project. If those are out, we will have to have those done by summer of 23. So those will be state highway funds, but I'll have to spread those out over the next couple of years. But just know that those could be some expenses out of the state highway funds that we unforeseen due to a resurfacing project.
Okay, great. Thank you, sir. Council, anything else for Mr. Kitco? All right. Thank you, Mr. Kitco. We appreciate it as always, sir.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Mr. Kitco. So council does not, this takes Mr. Roadwall, thanks for giving your opinion on that. So council doesn't have any discretion or any kind of advice to how to guide us with Howie with his pot of money to use this year, the streets he listed. So any combination of those will be okay with council?
Yeah, for me, I mean, they've done an excellent job in the past of what streets they've done. And I mean, which Dan did make a good point, finish off that one. But I mean, if Howie sees it, he thinks it's better to do a different combination. I mean, I trust him in that judgment. They've done an excellent job with streets. So for
Awesome.
me,
Sounds good. Sounds good.
council, any other comments on that one? There you go.
Awesome. Well, we'll move on. Thank you, Mr. Kiko, for your great report. Thank you, council, for listening to that. He has provided some great information regarding the road surfacing. Let me get my share screen going back here again. All right. Hopefully I don't get too far ahead of me. I do believe we have Mr. Hutchinson coming up from the planning department. There we go. All right, Mr. Hutchinson, you're on. Thank you for joining us tonight. We appreciate your time.
No problem. Thank you. Welcome, everyone. Want to touch on the zoning for the month of February. We've received 4 zoning applications. Out of those 4, 2 that were approved in the month of February. We did have another new single family home apply. So we got still rolling over there in the Twin Creeks area. Code enforcement for the month of 2021. Mr. Bridge, if you could please scroll up. You spoiled me a little bit with this spring thing, and I didn't print me off one.
I do. Trying to get my stack of papers in order too.
All right. So the new cases for the month of February, we had 41 new cases. So that brings us to 79 total for the year. Then on top of those new cases, we have communications, re-inspections, and then closing cases, which we had a total of 42 for the month of February. So you could see that jump in activity from January to February. And I tell you, February, with the amount of snow we had, sometimes it's best when snow's out because we don't see a lot of the stuff. Sometimes snow makes it look a little bit nicer outside. But even with those snow days that we did have and that long stretch of snow covered, we were still out there. So if we weren't identifying new violations at that time, they were communicating and working on current open ones that we knew that were still open. So the guys have been extremely busy, definitely looking forward to spring and summertime warmer weather. You will see them out of their cars more this spring. Obviously, COVID, restriction, are going to apply. But on nice days, don't be shocked to see the car parked and the guys actually out walking the streets. They're going to be out interacting with the community a little bit more. Sometimes it's easier to get out and just walk around and you can identify, you catch things, when you're driving and stopping, you got other distractions and everything going on. So you will see them out of the car more this year probably than you have before. But this month is already, halfway gone and we're right on track with beating the numbers for February. Same in zoning, just today approved 4 different permits today. So it's a busy time. It's getting there. So that's all I have at this time. I'll entertain any questions.
All right, council, any questions for Mr. Hutchinson? Mr. Grimm.
I had brought up a month or 2 ago about a house. I think it was on Fenwick.
Yep.
Been vacant for 40 some years.
Yep.
Where do we stand with that?
Yeah, so we did reach out. We did actually get a contact back from the daughter of the owner. And it's one of those cases where they're holding on to something that is just not manageable for them anymore. Kind of, it was I think more of a family heirloom than what it should have been. So we have our nuisance abatement program that we've laid out. Our law director has gone through and kind of wrote out our step-by-step what we need to follow to get to that. So this year we will have a couple properties that definitely being high on the list. We're going to try to rate them as far as worst to worser and go on that way. So right now there is an active owner. She does live out of state, but it will just fall in line with the nuisance abatements.
So by abatement, that'd be what, tearing it down?
Mhm. Yep.
Okay. Okay, thank you. And that could happen as soon as this summer?
It could, yes, it very easily could. Yeah, so we have to do title searches now on something like that. It's very likely that there's not any other interested parties that have financial interest in that property. You know, another property. You know, most properties, especially foreclosed properties, you know, they're going to have banks that are going to be interested, and they could potentially step in and say that, you know, we want to either fix the property or come up with some type of plan. This one likely not having a lien and having a straight out owner, it's going to be solely up to them if they want to attempt to give us some type of plan to fix all that. But in a lot of cases that it just doesn't work out that way, and that's kind of the end result. With the no foreclosure going on at that property, tax, you know, eventually, let's say they just stop paying tax on it, we're still looking at a long time that property sitting there to continue to decay. So unfortunately, in a property like that, nuisance abatement is going to be our best bet for the community to do.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Grimm. Council, anyone else? I just had one, Mr. Hutchinson. What's, just out of curiosity, what's probably one of the hardest aspects of being a code enforcer?
I tell you what, there's a lot to it. You know, I've been doing this for almost 15 years now, and when I started out as a code enforcement officer, it was I don't like being the bad guy. I like the good guy. I love interaction with people, and as a code enforcement officer, you get a lot of interaction with people, but it's not always pleasant.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, it comes down to what I found over the years. The easiest thing I found for us to approach these is just public, you know, education. So there's a lot of stuff that people don't realize that they can and can't do. So, you know, that's our job to get the info out there and you know, to educate and promote what we do. And that sometimes softens the blow when you get one of those notices, just knowing that if you receive a notice, no matter how minor or major, all we want to do is communicate. That's what we're looking for, is communication. So if one of our residents receive a notice, no matter if it's as simple as leaving your trash can out, or to the effect that, you know, your house is in really bad shape exteriorly and needs a lot of work, just call us and, you know, and we'll talk you through it. And, you know, if you need help, we'll try to get, you know, that route for you. If you need more time, we'll work it out with you. You know, we're here to help. Yeah, it's not always pleasant getting a letter from us, but bottom line is we're here to help.
Do we, well, I know you've worked in other cities in this type of area. Do other cities, and I kind of think of the sheriff's department when they do the business checks, and, you know, the fire chief's always doing things and trying to keep positive. Do any other code enforcers in any other areas, do they maybe do like the total opposite? You know, obviously they're out doing their tags for, you know, trash or whatever it may be, where they say, hey man, here's a really beautiful house. Let's tag them and give them a positive, you know, mention on their door. Unexpected, they come home from work and wow, hey, I just got recognized by the city. Is that something that's ever done, or maybe would be worth?
Yeah, in other communities we had, and I think we have, I'm not 100% sure. I think we might have, we used to have a mayor's beautification award in some of the other cities that I worked with. And they had basically the mayor had a small committee that they would go around and they would find the, you know, the nicest, and a lot of times these were houses that were just, you know, had some type of rehab or were fixed up. And we were always involved in that. Code enforcement was, because we were, you know, we would offer our 2 cents as far as, yeah, this is what has been done at this property. Or we may give them, you know, maybe submit our own, you know, submit properties for them to look at that we know that we've worked with that homeowner and they've, you know, done a complete 180. And now this is what, you know, maybe one of the worst houses on the street to one of the best houses. And yeah, that definitely needs to be, you know, advertised. And we do, you know, we a lot of the people that we talk to, we do gain a relationship with them. Sometimes it's not always good. But it is nice to revisit those people that after, we've helped them and they've done through, gone through the repairs and fixed things and stop by and tell them that, hey, yeah, you've done it. This is one of the nicest houses now. And a lot of times that's a domino effect. Once one person start, and it could go either way, bad or good. But usually if you get that one property that just does a complete 180, it's everyone's trying to keep up with them. So
yeah. Awesome. Thank you very much. That's all I had. Appreciate the report and information.
Thank you.
All right. If council has no other questions, back to Mr. Bridge.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Great report, Derek. Thank you for your time as always. We appreciate it. And we're moving on to informational items. Two things that were noted to talk about is salvage rights at Madison Street School. I do have some answers for council. Mr. Kicko's got some information he's going to share as well. But bottom line is we have about 30 days to get in there and get what we want. And we say that because the bidding is going to start. We have nothing to do with the bidding. That is all going to be done by the county. Howie had put on his report that estimated cost is supposed to be around 52 for the city's portion. We may have to redo the CIP again when that comes in. I spoke with Ethan Harris at the county last week. Even that 52 that was reported may go up or down. We don't know what the bids are going to be. So until the bids come back, we really truly don't know what our share is going to be. So I didn't put anything on the CIP with that. But that bidding process is going to start quickly. And he suggested about 30 days because right now we own it. It is ours. It is council's decision to do what they want with that building. Our concern was first, let's talk it over with the county just in case, we devalue that by taking something that could have been, traded in for metal or something that could have an impact on that. But again, we have 30 days. So what I'm recommending is Mr. Kicko share what he's found today. Maybe get a few council members, you guys want to walk through that to kind of see what you want out. There's really not much left other than maybe a locker, wood trim. Mr. Kicko did send some guys through today. So Mr. Kicko, I will turn it over to you to share with council and the public what you guys found.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Bridge. Yeah, we went through Thursday or Friday and we went through again today. There's an archway that led from the front hallway into the auditorium. That was an archway with a little bit of decorative stuff on there. We have that now in our own storage. The other one is, I'm guessing, gone. It could have been from 10, 15 years ago, but we do not know where that one's at. The other thing we found is we did get some of the lockers out of the cavity up on the third floor. It's the only place there are lockers, and they're extremely, I want to say heavy, but they're all mounted together. There's a ton of small bolts that mount the two lockers side by side, and metal overlapping in the back. So we don't have really the way of going ahead and manually moving them down without getting them separated. So we would have to get a generator, grinder, and all kinds of stuff to detach a number of hardware to get it manageable for us to get, I don't know, probably half the lockers are in okay shape. They all got rust. But we're trying to figure out, how much time will it take us to try and separate lockers, or in a mandatory pre-bid meeting state, hey, we want to keep, 20 lockers. Can you help with when you go to tear the roof down, you can set it out for us if we can't get them out. The other thing is there are a couple wooden cabinets up there. They're probably 15 feet wide. They have the sliding doors on them. They are wholesale. They're not two halves like we thought they were going to be. They're wholesale, and they're pretty heavy. All the glass is broken out of them. So there's no glass that's salvaged or whole doors that are still in place. Outside of that, going through the whole building, unless it's a boiler thing or something, there was nothing left in that building. So that's what we got for now. We're trying to figure out how far do we go to try, how much work do we put in to try and separate a few lockers and save the cabinets that are, they won't fit out a window. We can't rope them down. And most of the ceiling is fallen on all the stairwells. So most of the stairwells are unsafe unless we go through and clean the whole stairwell up. But I just want to put that information out of what we found existing in the rooms or what was left.
Yeah, those big display cabinets, I don't know if they were for like a science class. I mean, those things are potential. I mean, if you had the room to put one into a house or something, or a lobby, I mean, they're beautiful pieces of wood. But what about I know I'd mentioned this to Mr. Bridge. the idea of getting some of the auditorium seats out. I know that they're in real rough shape. I mean, I know the seats themselves, the wood seats are pretty much rotted. I mean, I know they're there, but the metal frames are still good. I think it was Christy Smith who had the idea of if we could get a section of them out, you can still get all those cleaned up, repowder coated, and they sell the new like wood, curved seats or the bottom and the back, and maybe put like 4 or 5 of them in an entryway or a waiting room in the new city building or something. I don't know. It was just an idea. I thought that was a really cool idea, actually. But
I have my guys stay out of that room. Ductwork is falling, and the ceiling is a lot of things are falling out of that ceiling in that room. We actually have water dripping, so we know at any time if I have my guys in there, it's unsafe in that auditorium room. So we as our crew won't be in there demoing those seats because they are fastened, and we would probably with grinders and possibly sledges to grind those bolts and everything off. I just don't want them in that room. I got ductwork actually laying on the back 2 steps right now, hanging from the ceiling.
Right. Okay. But a pile of bricks would still be possible for citizens when they demo it?
Yeah, I don't think there'll be a problem with the bricks. There is a pallet or 2 of bricks inside the old garage that are the yellow ones. So there might already be some down that if they're the same as the rest of the outside, we'll go ahead and utilize those. One other thing I forgot on my list is above the front door outside, it's a concrete, I haven't looked at it in a while. It's some decorative thing on the outside concrete. We're going to ask them when they demo to try and save it.
Okay.
Try to save part of the structure. I can in the pre-bid meeting, just state, hey, a couple of these chairs, if you're able to demo this and get this lifted out, I can ask, it's worth an ask to have them pull a few of those out, once they get the roof off of it.
That's up to council, or, I don't know if Randy would be interested in putting those in a lobby somewhere or not. It was just an idea that, someone had pitched. I thought it was kind of neat.
I'm down for whatever, even if we don't use them, just to have a few of a rows, just say, hey, down the road, oh, that would be cool to have there. I mean, tore down the Red Stadium, they had sold some of those seats. Absolutely. Yeah.
And this is just
down to the individual guy who wins the bid, but usually that's not a problem.
Yeah.
So do you guys want to pick a few council members to kind of go through there and see what you guys want to have this attempt? And maybe with the auditorium, Mr. Mayor, if a private group of people you want to get together, as long as they sign that waiver form, they can go in and try to get those too. But we do have to respect Mr. Kiko's request for the safety of the workers.
Oh yeah, most definitely, of course. So, council, any other questions on the salvage rights, or does anybody, Mr. Grimm?
This goes back to the auditorium, which I guess is a taboo. Above the stage, there was a lot of ornate woodwork. Is any of that salvageable? Is it still there?
I looked from a distance. I did not go over in that area at all.
Okay.
There could be, but we just don't walk in that area. Okay. Again, the ceiling is about 3/4 of an inch thick. The plaster that used to be in the ceiling, it's falling everywhere.
Yeah, we went through a few years ago.
Yeah.
It was sad shape then. I think, Mike, you went along.
Yeah. Me and Steve.
Yeah, it was a mess years ago.
Yeah.
The artwork in front of the stage is gone.
Okay, thank you.
So Randy, did you want now, or maybe someone to email you if they wanted to go through, or do you need that right now? Or
no, like whenever. We'll set up a date and time. I'll get with Howie's guys and make sure fire chief is available.
Okay.
Guys, just for safety precautions. And then maybe we can just shoot out an email. I mean, is there any particular council members that definitely would want to go?
I'd like to.
I would.
Anyone else?
Like you got Peggy and Linda and myself, it looks like.
Okay, so just do 3 of you, it looks like.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll do that group. We'll have Mr. Kiko, and I'll get with Mr. Kiko and fire chief to get some dates soon. Probably be either next week, early next week, or something like that, and get a date set for you guys. If any other council wants to go above that, that's fine. Just let us know, and then we can just get a separate group going through.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Kiko.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Mr. Kitco. And moving on with the city manager report is mayor's court. I am requesting official action by legislation. This will provide me with solid guidance on how to actually proceed. We have to take the upfront costs in consideration, and I am working on an Excel sheet to share with council to kind of track and project those expenses. But I think there's a lot of things that need to be put in a legislation piece for a project like this. I think council should consider that maybe for the next meeting if you guys want to really truly want to proceed with that. We know we want to do the magistrate. We know we want to have it at 101 South Main Street. But like I said, there is going to be a cost to consider that. So I will be having a legislation piece for council at the next meeting, if that is okay with council to proceed with.
Yes, sir. Do you need now, when we move forward with this, do you need also from council, and I know we've already talked about it, you brought the 2 visitors in from Enid, do you need us to, officially tell you that we would like you to, whether it's a contract or however that works between us and them, to get Christy and the same individual that was there?
Yeah, I'll probably kind of meld that into the legislation as me and Jake write it. Be like the city manager, like if you see the section 1, section 2, that's the end of it. Be like the city manager is authorized to, seek and, to staff the court. Of course, it's going to be something I'm keeping on the package, the self sheet that we'll have. But yeah, I mean, all that will have to be taken into consideration.
Okay.
But I did want to take a minute because I did start looking at prices for metal detectors, and these things can range anywhere from $2,000 to $5,000. Now, to be honest with you, I only looked at the ones that you walk through. I didn't look at the handheld wand thing. But basically, if you walk through it, you get the 2 on the sides, and they do range. So I know it's kind of a short question to ask council with a shorter on time frame, but where are your guys' heads at with the metal detector costs? Is this something that we're going to do?
Well, I think it'd be a great question if you don't mind me asking you,
Yeah.
Sergeant. Can you? I know we got the walkthroughs. Everybody's probably been through a walkthrough, but can you can you accomplish the same effect as a walkthrough with a wand safely for court?
Well, I would say definitely. I mean, considering that the courts and everything just recently started going over to the full body, but up to this point, I mean, they've been working off the wands for a long time.
Yeah.
So I haven't talked to Enon. I don't know what Enon's doing on theirs for their mayor court, or what Northampton does for their mayor's court. I would imagine that they're probably just using the wand if they're doing anything at all. So that's nothing that I've really asked, much about. The nice thing is a lot of the mayor's court, we're just dealing with minor misdemeanors, most of the time.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. Mr. Bridge?
Yeah, so one of the things with a wand, and I mean, it clearly is going to be cheaper. So I was thinking about, okay, so we have a wand in place and someone's coming in through the front door. The bailiff we have is going to be at the front door wanding people. Whereas if there's a case going on, should you be up there sitting next to the judge? So we're gonna have to have 2 deputies there, one to man the door for the wand, and then the other to be by the judge. But I guess if you think out loud with it, and if it goes off, even if it's a walkthrough, it beeps, someone's got to go down there and address the beeping situation. So we may have to have two deputies, a bailiff, and then someone running the door, essentially. I don't know. For all of this.
I was going to say it's going to be an interesting one because a lot of times when you walk through a metal detector, you also have the small conveyor belt that goes through right beside it that you got to review their bags and stuff that comes through. And the only reason I'm saying that is because that's what the A.B. Graham building is that way. As you walk into the municipal court building, it's that way right now. And the common police court is all that way. So, I mean, you got the metal detector that you walk through, but then you got another area that reviews the bags, or, where you're actually x-raying the bags that are coming through. It's how far do you want to go with this? Because you're really going to have to take some time if we're looking through everybody's bags, as they're setting everything down, walking through the metal detector, and then getting everything back.
Mr. Cook, do you remember what was their setup in Eden? I know we both went there. I can't remember.
Eden had to walk through,
Did they?
and that was primarily the way it went.
You just walk right through it.
Yeah.
Did they allow bags into their courtroom? Versus-
There was
Now
only,
that I can't answer you because the two gentlemen that were there, of course, did not have a bag.
Sure. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay.
and you know what they had said was in Eden, they said that they rarely get, you know, real busy packed room, especially for a city their size or a village, I guess, if you will. But you know, they said it's not like you're having 50, 60 people coming in at every single court hearing. So,
Mhm.
but I would be fine with the wand, and then, you know, correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Lehman or Sergeant Lehman, you know, you could wand them and then have them, you know, go through the bag. I mean, just like they do at you know, Kings Island or racetracks or anything. I mean, they go through your bag just physically, don't they?
Are
I
we
mean,
limit that amount coming into a court? You know, you just say all bags have to stay in your car.
Yeah, there you go.
Mm.
Good call. So, yeah, I mean, for my opinion, I would be. I mean, if council as a whole wanted the entire walkthrough, I'd be fine with that too. But I think at least start off with the wand. I don't know what their prices, but you said the walkthroughs were anywhere from 3 to 5, Randy.
The ones I saw were like 2 to 5.
2 to 5. So I mean, a wand I would assume is way cheaper, under 1,000 possibly. So that's my 2 cents. Council, ever any feedback for that? Miss Eggleston.
I think to start out, we would be fine with a wand. And I can't see spending that much money on a walkthrough if, you know, we don't know how it's going to go.
All right, thank you. Anyone else? Mr. Hutchinson.
Just an idea. Some courts that I've been in, not because I was there, but because I had someone in court. A lot of courts I've seen had time. So if they had cases between, you know, this time, there was a certain window that people came in, and once that window closed, that door was locked, which we have the capability at that one. So say if we have a number of cases that day, we could say you have to be here at X amount of time, and this is the deadline, you know, cut that time off. That might do away with our having to have 2 deputies or 2 bailiffs. If we had one that could wand them while they're all coming in, then once that window's closed is basically when court starts, he could go up and be with the judge. That's just an idea.
Looks like you can get them for under $100.
Okay. All right. Any other feedback, council? All right. Mr. Bridge, back to you, sir, for your report.
Okay, April shelter house reservations. How would council like to proceed with those?
I'd like to see you open it.
Well, that's for council to decide.
Right. That's what I'm just saying for everyone to hear me.
Open it.
Mr. Vice Mayor, I'm sorry.
Would it be, I guess the word is beneficial for anybody renting that shelter house to sign some kind of a form that they will adhere to the health department's regulations for the event?
I mean, yeah, we can have them sign anything that we have them want to do with it. I mean, that's not an issue at all, but we're still going to have liability should something happen and you want to bring suit to the city. What we discussed at the last one, a waiver form doesn't really excuse 100%. But yeah, it's definitely something we can definitely put in.
I mean, city can be, in my opinion, the city can be liable for anything. I mean, it doesn't matter what it is. COVID, I mean, nowadays you can, I mean, people sue organizations, groups, individuals for, you know, really anything. You know, when we talked with Charlie Patterson, you know, last year about the pool, he said, you know, when we were opening the pool, he said it was our job to put the rules out there. It wasn't our job to enforce them. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't try to enforce them, but I think, you know, in my opinion, we overthink this too much. I think we open it and it's their job to follow the rules. If they don't and they get caught, it's on them. Anyone else? Any comments, feedback on opening or closing or demolishing the shelter house?
I don't want to demolish it.
Okay, I was just making sure.
Making sure we're all live here.
All right. We only have 2 comments on this, and he's going to need a little bit more feedback from council on this, one way or another.
That, or you guys can do a motion? Motion.
Mr. Grimm?
It's the way we did it before. People know what they're supposed to do. They know what the health people say.
You want to make a motion for that, Mr. Grimm?
I already did.
Oh, who did?
Mr. Cook.
Oh, he did? I didn't hear him. What was the motion?
We opened the shelter house.
Oh, okay. I apologize. I did not hear it. I don't know if my computer glitched. So do we have a second?
Yes, second.
Okay. And Ms. Nowakowski.
I'm hesitant to do this because the people in New Carlisle haven't been excessively great at following the rules in the past year, and I don't see that changing. I'm concerned in terms of the liability. I mean, if somebody were to come out of the whole thing and have COVID, they can say, well, the shelter house wasn't clean properly, and sue the city. And I don't know that we're in any position at all to deal with that kind of liability.
It would be very difficult to prove they got it at the shelter house.
And I think actually Mr. Patterson touched on that, actually said, again, and you could sue anybody for anything nowadays, but to prove that you got it from this location or that surface at this time and day is virtually impossible.
It is, but it still would be incurred legal costs to fighting the claims.
Right.
You'd win or lose, you would still have to have legal costs to fight the claim.
Mr. Roadwall.
Going back to our previous conversation about this, with cleaning it and how we handle that now, would it be, if we do proceed with opening it, would we better off taking some of the chairs out of there? That way, the cleaning crew on Saturday or Friday nights and Sunday mornings don't have to clean a couple hundred chairs that probably may or may not have been used. I know Howie had mentioned that in the past it takes about 30 minutes to clean, but with the COVID regulations and restrictions and what needs to be done, each one of those chairs would have to be opened, sprayed down, and then folded back up and put away. So I'm not against opening it. I'm just thinking, could we reduce the seating capacity to help try to help? I don't know what's what I'm looking for here. Not enforce the rules, but streamline it, make sure that they're adhering. I'm not saying leave 10 chairs in there, but maybe just cut down the chairs by half or whatever's currently in the shelter house.
Sure.
Okay. Hang on, Mr. Rodel. Mr. Cobb, I see. I'll get to you, then to Mr. Grimm. Then I forget who you were asking your question to, Dan, as a whole, but I mean, that might be a good possibility, actually.
That was it. Sorry.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Cobb.
Okay, take consideration, this virus is not done yet. And I mean, I don't have a problem with opening the shelter house, but 20% of Clark County has only taken the shot so far. According to the Ohio Health Department, indoor venues is allowing 600 people. Outdoor venues is 30%. Well, I don't know what the 30% of is. Nobody's saying. It's just, we can't ride this off yet. We're still in a situation here with the health. And I agree with what Mr. Grimm says. They can't prove they got it in the shelter house. That's just what I'm telling you, what I found out from the Ohio Health.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Cobb. Mr. Grimm.
Dan raised a question about the chairs. Just tell them to leave the chairs out that they use. That way we know which ones need to be cleaned.
There you go.
Leave the chairs and tables out since we have to take them out anyway. Set them up, just tell them to leave them out. And then we would clean them and save a lot of time.
They would still have to clean them if they're just sitting in the room. It's an airborne disease. So just because you touch it doesn't mean that someone didn't sneeze by them. But I was going to recommend what we do is just leave a set number of chairs out and a set number of tables out, whether it be 3 tables and a set of chairs, and that's it. Because we don't have anyone else. Council meetings aren't not out in there right now. BZA planning boards, they're Zoom until July. At least if we leave it out, we know, all right, this is what we got to clean. It also is going to encourage people not to, have a lot of ton people in there unless they stand. And, on a Saturday and Sunday, we're not going to be able to police that, to be honest with you. I would just advise my staff and how we just, hey, put a few chairs out, a few tables and call it a day, pull the rest out, store them at the hut. That way they're off site. That way we go in there, we can spray, wipe, and be done.
I agree with that.
Yeah, I mean, the schools are back in session. Clark County commissioners are doing their meetings in person again. The school boards are doing their meetings in person again. I mean, I'm not saying it hasn't happened, but I haven't heard of a grocery store or a school district sued yet because somebody got COVID. I'm not saying it couldn't happen, but I've yet to hear that happen. I think, if people want to rent the shelter house, they're probably the people, the people that aren't overly concerned about it or have had shots. The people that probably aren't going to rent it are the ones that are staying indoors and not getting into contact with too many people. I mean, I think, in my opinion, we open it and we let the adults that you have to be to rent it make their own decisions. It's kind of where I see it.
Well,
Any other
in the state of Ohio, it's different for a grocery store or a school to kind of do their own thing. We as a municipality, we should definitely follow what the state government does, same as like a county government does. So, I think that we're under a microscope a little bit more because we are a municipality, and through the state of Ohio, we are charged with doing the governor's orders and to follow those orders. Whereas a private industry like a grocery store, they're not.
All right, thank you, sir. Anyone else before we call Miss Berner to turn her mic on and call for a vote? See, I added that so you didn't.
Yeah, it was good. Good. Appreciate that.
All right, Miss Berner, when you're ready.
Okay. Councilman Rodwald,
No.
Councilwoman Noakowski,
No.
Councilman Cobb,
No.
Councilwoman Eggleston,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Cook,
Yes.
Mayor Lowry,
Yes.
Councilman Grimm.
Yes.
That motion passes 4-3.
All right. Thank you, Miss Berner. Thank you, council. And back to you, Mr. Bridge.
Thank you. And moving on to city manager report, 101 South Main Street. We have finished with what we need to do on the city side, with some minus a few little things I'm gonna have Mr. Hutchinson do in the next couple of weeks. Hi, Derek, how you doing? The IT department from the county, that's what we're waiting on. I have not been informed. I don't think they moved him today. Lehman, do you know if the county came and moved your IT stuff yet?
No, I do not believe they've done anything yet.
Okay, so that's what holding the police up. So they're all ready to go. So as soon as IT is moved over from there, they will fully move in. Again, anytime that we have new people down there, they really heavily compliment us for this space. So hats off to everyone who was involved in that project. So next thing we're doing out of our CARES Act is we actually going to be working to set up those wireless speakers. They will be housed out of 101 South Main Street for the set that goes downtown. And then we also have a set for the pool that we're working on getting as well. But we are very excited to have that mass communication tool downtown and at the pool. But you'll see those being installed here in the next few weeks. We already discussed the street priority listing. That was a great discussion. Thank you, Mr. Kitco. That was a great project you got together for them. Great information to have. Thank you for your, as always, thorough work. So again, we appreciate that. Upcoming city council discussions, credit card processing discussion, potential options. That'll be at the meeting, first meeting in April. Again, alcohol sales in the city. We're probably just going to reissue the legal opinions that we've already had previously, but I just want to refamiliarize council with that. Fixed assets, 419 meeting. Comprehensive land use plan. I did put off one meeting, and I did attach a section of the city charter, 8.03, that details how that comp plan should be addressed. But we do give the Derek and the planning department some time to kind of look over some things. And then the last thing on there is I started something new. I'll continue this trend. It's projects awaiting more information, and that is from the log cabin discussion.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. So that's all I have to report. I'd be happy to entertain any questions.
Council, any questions for the city manager? Can I'm going to backstep, if you don't mind, Mr. Bridge, and ask Mr. Lehman something. Sergeant Lehman, I apologize, sir. How's the deputies? I mean, are they excited for their new home?
They're definitely excited for the new home. I've actually, I know Deputy Moody and Deputy Matrisac has given a lot of their time to actually get things moved over there. Even setting up new desks and chairs for other deputies, just trying to help out the different guys. A lot more room. They know what's expected of them over there. We got a very nice, very clean building, and we want it to definitely stay that way. So we're very thankful to everyone for, finally making the move to put them over there. I think it's going to totally change. It's a different atmosphere. I think it's going to help their attitudes, when coming to work, to actually be in a nice, clean place where they can sit and do their work personally. And I know Lieutenant White is working real hard to make sure that the computer situation is all taken care of, and that they have fast operating computers and things are able to be taken care of in a timely manner. So we'd like to thank everybody for actually putting them over there.
That's awesome. I heard that Deputy Moody already put where his desk is. He's got a movie picture of Police Academy. Is that true?
I haven't seen that yet, but I tell you, it wouldn't surprise me.
I'm joking. But tell him I said that if you see him. It wouldn't surprise me. So, all right, sorry to go back and reel you into the meeting. So I was just curious how they were feeling about the move. So thank you very much.
Yes, very nice. Thank you.
Great. So, all right, thank you, Mr. Bridge. You're all finished up. It sounds like, unless anyone has any questions for him.
I'm done.
Mr. Grimm.
Brought up months ago about lowering the speed limit on 235 coming into town from the south. You said you were going to be looking into it.
I've had council with that. We've had a previous discussion on that, and that was going from what you'd had to do is change it from 25 and then take it back up to 35 and back down to 25. So you had sections. So I think what I got from that last discussion was we're just going to increase enforcement on that.
No, this is on 235 coming north into town.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you said 571.
No, 235 coming north into town.
I don't recall that conversation.
Because the city limits go to the fitness center on the east side.
That was a private conversation that you and I had. Got you. I don't have any information for you yet on that, sir.
Because we plowed it when it snowed.
Howie, can you jump in on this, please? We plow on 235 on both sides of the road.
We will help if ODOT doesn't make it there, but 235 is not in the corporation limits past the bridge at Watadog. We have the edge of Studebaker down by the bike path, and then the cemetery bike path. That's all we have is city limits. We don't have any at 235.
And then too, like I think in that conversation we had, Mr. Councilman Grimm, is too, we revisited the meeting that we had at Meadowview when we actually had ODOT reps there. And then since we do not control both sides, that we would not be able to reduce the speed limits on both sides. We can only do it on one side, on our side that, is in the corporate. So then you'd have one side with some speed limit and the other side with another speed limit.
Okay. And the problem with that would be
confusing for the driver.
I think isn't it that way down by the pool too? When you're coming into town, it's 25, but unless they fixed it. I know at one time that was a similar.
No, it's 25 now till you get through the first bend.
Okay.
By the pool. I mean, Dale, are you proposing to change the speed limit starting at the fitness center?
coming into town.
That's where the city limits start, on the east side of the road.
And then ODOT's going to come and look at that study just like they look at the one on 571. They're going to take into account how much setback you got on either side of the road, what type of business you have on side of the road, and they're going to dictate that speed limit. And just like they make the recommendation for the speed limit we have where they're at now.
Go ahead,
So
Mr. Kiko.
Council, oh, Mr. Kiko.
Sorry,
I'm
Randy.
sorry. Yeah, about 3, 4, 5 years ago, I met with ODOT reps in traffic, particularly Watadog, where it drops from 35 to 25. And what they look at is number of structures that are built along that road. The distance between those structures, length of frontage is how they determine the speed. So, for instance, where it's 35 from Watadog up around to where it drops to 25 there just before Hensley Park, the one side is woods until you get to that house real close. The woods could stay 35. You have one house and then you're back to woods. The other side, which is a few houses, they still meet the criteria of 35 because of the spacing from Watadog to the next house. From the next house, it's another street to the next house. So we have sole role, I forget what they call it, house rule to adjust speed there from basically Watadog in, but 235 south, none of that is in corporation limits. Even though our corporation limit starts at the fitness center, we have basically a peninsula of the fitness center, RD Holder, the cemetery, but we do not have any of 235 inside the corporation limits. So we just have a...
They don't go to the center of the road?
Negative.
Okay. Never mind then. No, I was under the understanding, I think Randy told me it went to the center of the road.
Yeah, actually Meadowview has, their land technically goes all the way over across to the bike path.
Which would make it difficult for us to do that. So remember, we in that meeting, weren't you at that meeting with us, Mr. Grimm, as a representative from the New Carlisle News when that was going on, when we had Bethel Township at Meadowview, the former owner of Meadowview, RD Holder, because he wanted the speed limit changed down to 25 for his trucks, and they were not budget on it just because of that lack of local control. And then two, how they have Meadowview's, I guess, property boundaries is insane because it literally goes in the middle of it.
Okay.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Kitco, Mr. Bridge, and Mr. Grimm. Thank you, sir. Anyone else for Mr. Bridge? All right. And moving on, let me get my screen right here. All right. Comments from the members of the public.
Look at me packing up like we're about done with this meeting. Let me get this going on here. Oh, come on. You're refreshing. No new emails.
All right. Thank you, sir.
Yes.
And let's see, dropping down to committee reports. Let's see, resolutions, Miss Berner.
Okay. We have resolution 2021-06R, introduction, public hearing and action tonight. A resolution authorizing the sale of unneeded city property.
Council.
Move to accept.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Grimm, second by Ms. Nowakowski.
Okay, so an explanation of this resolution is we had located some guns that are in the East office that we would like to sell to Advances to get a credit back to the city's police fund.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Bridge. Council, any comments, questions? All right, when you're ready, Ms. Berner.
Okay, Councilman Cobb,
Yes.
Councilwoman Eggleston,
You're
you're
muted.
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 Yes.
Vice Mayor Cook,
Yes.
Mayor Lowry,
Yes.
Councilman Grimm,
Yes.
Councilman Roadwald,
Yes.
Councilwoman Nowakowski.
Yes.
That's accepted 7-0.
All right, and moving on when you're ready, please.
All right, we have resolution 2021-07R, introduction, public hearing and action tonight.
A resolution amending Resolution 2020-25R, which approved a lump sum payment to all permanent non-bargaining unit and bargaining unit employees of the city.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Eggleston, second by Mr. Rodwell.
All right, the explanation of this resolution is to amend Resolution 20-25R, which initially approved the one-time lump sum bonus for employees. But as stated earlier, we did inadvertently overlook one employee, so we did want to do the right thing and get that bonus out to the well-deserved person.
Thank you, Mr. Bridge. Council, any questions or comments? All right, and when you're ready, Ms. Burner.
Okay. Councilwoman Noakowski,
Yes.
Councilman Cobb,
Yeah.
Councilwoman Eggleston,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Cook,
Yes.
Mayor Lowry,
Yes.
Councilman Grimm,
Yes.
Councilman Rodwald.
Yes.
That motion passes 7-0.
Thank you.
All right, moving on, we have resolution 2021-08R introduction tonight, public hearing and action on April 5th, 2021. A resolution amending resolution 2020-21R, the capital improvement program for the city of New Carlisle, Ohio for additional capital purchases. Moving on to our ordinances, we have ordinance 2021-05, introduction tonight, public hearing and action on April 5th, 2021. An ordinance supplementing certain appropriations contained in New Carlisle City Ordinance 2021-01. I don't have any other business.
No other business. Let's see. So with that being said, I had a few things I need to go over under the business, and we'll also need to, I mean, we could do it after the executive session, but I'd say just before we go into executive session, we can do a motion to excuse Mr. Cobb from the last executive session. But first, I had to say a few things. I'm horrible at giving speeches. I'm not a Dick Zambach who was great at doing them, or Will McLaughlin who was another good one. But one of the hardest things I think that people don't realize is, and from a citizen's end, doing any of these jobs on this screen, whether it's Sergeant Lehman as a police officer, one of the service directors, any of the admins, city manager, council members, it's not the easiest job because everyone goes to their job with, all their heart to do their job to the best of their ability and do it in the way that they think is best for the city as a whole and the people that they work with. Everyone in here, I think, is passionate about their job and how they do things and what they want to see for the city of New Carlisle. We've had, and it's not just council members, and I'm not saying it's one council member or two council members. I think there's probably been times where all 7 of us have done things that weren't professional as council members, to where we do not represent our citizens in a positive light or the right way. We've all had those meetings and those moments where it's just, your passion or whatever drives you to do your job, it lets you get out of control. And with that said, we, at our last meeting, we had a council member who got upset. He didn't want to vote on something. And our rules say when we don't vote on something, we have to abstain from that vote and give a reason why. And I understand that the councilman was, he was upset. Again, he was going off of what he felt was right. All I want to say is moving forward, and we've had these talks before as a group, sometimes more than others, we all need to do a better job, I feel, and I'm more speaking towards council. I mean, of course, there's been times where members off of council have gotten, a little, excited over the heat of the moment or whatever it may be. But, we've got to do our best and put our best foot forward for this city. We have lots of people that watch us, or lots of people that hear about us or watch us later down the road. And we need to make sure that, even though in the heat of the moment, when we think that we're doing what's right, or we're speaking our mind on a subject, a topic, finances, whatever it may be, that we present ourselves and carry ourselves as the most positive way for the city and those that are watching us and those who we work with on council, administrators, city manager, and so on. I really want everybody to kind of remember that. And you don't need me to tell you that. We're all adults. We all know what we should and shouldn't be doing. I just, if someone's having a moment in a council meeting, again, whether it's council or on the other side of the table, and you want to discuss something, do it. Please do it. And say what you feel and represent the city when you're doing it, because it's what's best for the total outcome of these meetings and where the city goes in the future as a whole. I'm not gonna get into, we need to get out of these exchanges and these unprofessional moments and not have any more tolerance for them. I mean, and when I say that, I don't mean, well, the next time somebody has an outburst or whatever it may be that puts a bad light on council or that individual as a whole, that we're going to toss it. We can't do that. But I think we need to all just buckle down and make sure that we all realize what purposes we're here for. And that's all I'm going to say on that. So I don't know if anyone else has anything else they want to add. There's more than one person in this room on council. So that being said, I guess we will go into executive. No, we got to, I need a motion for Mr. Cobb to be excused from the. Okay, so we got a motion from Ms. Nowakowski. Do I have a second? Mr. Cook, second to excuse Mr. Cobb from the ending portion of our last council meeting. Any discussions? And Ms. Berner, when you're ready, please.
Mayor Lowry,
No.
Councilman Grimm,
No.
Councilman Rodwald,
You're muted, Dan.
Sorry. No.
Councilwoman Nowakowski,
No.
Councilman Cobb,
Sustain was not there.
Councilwoman Eggleston,
No.
Vice Mayor Cook.
Yes.
All right. That motion fails 1-5-1.
151. Thank you very much, Ms. Berner. All right, unless there's anything else going on, I don't foresee any action or business being done after the executive session. Mr. Bridge.
Mr. Bridge.
Ordinance for my raise.
Oh, okay. I misunderstood your discussion on that. I apologize. Okay, thank you. No discussion. No action. Okay, so we'll need a motion to go into executive session.
So moved.
Motion by
Second.
Mr. Vice Mayor, I heard first, and a second by Mr. Rodwall. Sorry about that, Randy.
Oh, no, you're fine. Don't worry about it.
I was gonna say, did I miss something?
No.
It was Randy was joking, right? Okay, because I think I read everything. Councilwoman Nowakowski,
Yes.
Councilman Cobb,
Yes.
Councilwoman Eggleston,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Cook,
Yes.
Mayor Lowry,
Yes.
Councilman Grimm,
Yes.
Councilman Rodwald.
Yes.
Motion to move to executive session passes 7-0.
All right, thank you. And we'll see everyone after executive session. Ms. Berner, are you going to stick around for the executive session?
Do you need me to?
Just for the first minute or two, if you don't mind. I just want to make sure of something.
Okay.
So,
Yeah, that's
are we-
fine.
All right. So, All right.
We got out of this meeting, everyone remember.
Yeah. We'll do a quick,
Okay.
like 5-minute
Five.
break. If anybody needs it. Take 5.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.